This I'm joined by Professor Harshvardhan Pant, who's the Vice President of ORF. Good afternoon, Professor Pant. Thank you so much for joining here on DD India. Now, what are the repercussions that you see out of Biden's statement here? Because it would indeed put the bilateral relationship under a lot of stress. However, Israel says that they would like to solve it behind closed doors.
Yes, I think the repercussions can be quite significant, and certainly for a very long time now, the Biden administration has been making it very clear to Israel that certain red lines cannot be crossed. There were private messages that were conveyed to Israel, and there were public warnings that have been given. We have seen President Biden himself speaking out to media on this very, very specifically and making it very clear that he expects Israel not to enter Rafah. And I think that is something that continues to reverberate within the American domestic politics, within the American society, and particularly in this election year. Now, what I think has happened in the last few days is certainly America has realized that Israel is intent on going against its wishes. And therefore, we have seen now public demonstration of American intent being expressed in ways that can do long-term damage to U.S.-Israeli relations. And therefore, I think this is a matter which is not simply bilateral, but this is also a matter which has grave repercussions for entire region in the Middle East. So therefore, I think both sides are engaging on this issue cautiously. You heard your correspondent telling you about how within Israeli domestic politics there is a lot of back and forth happening. Some people expressing openly how this is going to be very, very problematic, and some people pushing back and saying America is such an important ally. So I think you will see this kind of back and forth for a while. But clearly, what America has told Israel, and in unequivocal terms, is that this is unacceptable, and they will not support Israeli adventure in Rafah.
And also, as Sarah updated us with the latest information on the border crossing and how they are not witnessing any humanitarian aid entering Gaza. Now, this is making the common people suffer. By doing this, can Israel achieve actually what it wants? Because they are putting a lot of pressure. Or can it go against them being a political blunder here?
I think from the very beginning, there have been questions about Israeli strategy. Now, Israel believes that the most important thing that they have to do in this war is to eliminate Hamas, and everything else is sidelined. Now, in the process of moving in that direction, they have put a lot of civilians in harm's way. They have created a lot of pressure insofar as humanitarian issues are concerned. And of course, the more these images get out of Gaza and from Rafah now, I think the more pressure there would be on Israeli allies. So I think Israel is on the brink of becoming diplomatically isolated if it does not manage this properly. Now, a lot of this is happening because there is a domestic, center-right government or right-wing government of Benjamin Netanyahu that is making this case that, look, this is very important for us. And there is domestic pressure from the right wing of the coalition to do much more on this. And I think that domestic issues are being reflected in the war strategy. So as you rightly point out, they have not really been able to achieve a significant amount, even though they've been now fighting since October last year. There is a clear disconnect between what is happening on the ground and what the military objectives of this war have been. This idea that you can somehow destroy Hamas completely is also becoming more and more problematic. And now on top of that, you are witnessing how some of the closest allies of Israel, particularly the US, expressing its disenchantment with the way Israel is proceeding ahead. So I think there is a mismatch now between the strategic end game and the means that Israel has at its disposal to achieve those goals.
And now all eyes are on the ceasefire talks, and the entire world is hoping that it moves in a positive direction. Thank you so much, Professor Pant, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on the current issue. Now, there is still no sign